For Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel, we're going to be capoed on the 3rd fret, standard tuning. And the intro is a series of double stops that uniquely walk down the fretboard. We'll start off on the G and the B, play those open, and then we do a 2-string hammer-on and pull-off on the 2nd and 1st fret of those same 2 strings. So if you notice, my right hand plucks the string once, and then my left hand does the rest of the work there. I have the tab up there. I won't walk through every single step, but I do use my pointer and middle finger throughout this whole sequence here. You can switch to the middle and ring finger so that when you get down to these 2 frets down here, you're in position. You don't have to move anything. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. And probably other ways too. The guitar playing simplifies quite a bit when he starts to sing during the verse. We go into this alternating pattern here, and you could use your thumb for all of it. I actually divide it up between my thumb and my pointer finger. So that's between the E and the D string. We start off on the 3rd fret, then we go down to the 2nd fret, then the 1st fret, and then an E minor, which basically would be open for the bass string. On the 2nd half of the E minor, of that measure, the guitar playing starts to get a little bit more interesting. So we start off like this, and then we go. And when we get to that point, I do switch to having the thumb handle both the E and the D string. So I start off like this. And I alternate. So to play through that all the way. I'm sitting in the railway station, got a ticket for my destination. And something a little bit challenging about learning this song is there are a couple different versions. The studio version has a lot of percussion in it that it obscures a little bit of what he's doing with his guitar. And then the live version, the guitar is just very quiet. You can't hear it very well. So again, that pattern for the measure with the E minor starts off simple. And then we switch to, for the last half of it, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On a tour of one-night stands, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. When he starts to sing On a Tour of One-Night Stands, the right hand continues to be fairly chaotic and a little bit difficult to decipher. So what we'll do here is going to be largely the same from one chord to the next, with the exception of bass notes that switch from the A, for example, to the E when we go to an F. So we start off with an A minor. And again, our thumb is taking care of the bass notes on the A and the D string, and our 3 other fingers are taking care of the G, B, and the E string. And we're going to switch now to an F, and as always, I reach my thumb around for the F bass note, and the other fingers are going to take care of the rest of the strings as opposed to barring it. I try to avoid bar chords as much as possible. And we want to leave that E string, the high E string, to ring out. And it can be a little bit tough to give that room because our pointer finger is wrapping all the way around it. You see on the B string, we're playing the first fret, and we want to avoid touching the E string so that it can ring. And that can be a little bit tough to do if you're not used to it. Something to kind of think about is to actually push upward with your pointer finger to then create an arch, a nice arch for that E string to have plenty of room to ring out. So we go to the F. And the right hand is completely the same as it was for the A minor, with the exception of our bass note now being on the E string. And then we go to a G, and the right hand is the same as it was for the F. So playing that part. On a tour of one night stands, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a... And here it does switch up a little bit. We're going to go into a new chord, which imagine just taking a C major, slide it up 2 frets, and then pick up the ring finger and move it to the 5th fret of the bass string. If I hit the G like this, I can just slide my ring finger up and then grab the other 2 frets with the middle and the pointer finger. And we're going to play... And if we want to break that down even further, because it's the same finger pattern that's repeated twice, we have... So when we play it twice, we get... On a tour of one night stands, my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. He then goes back down to a G. And again, we'll break that down because that is actually the same pattern repeated twice. We have... And one played twice. And then we go to a C. And this is probably the most challenging part about this song is the tempo gets a little bit more bouncy when he's playing this portion of the song. So, homeward, and then we go into bound. And you can tell how it, like I say, it gets very bouncy. And so the tab here for the C, what we're playing there is repeated twice. And we go back to the G. And you can even throw in an occasional strum, which you'll probably hear in the recording as well. In my cover video, I go pretty much full on strum. And all I'm doing there is bass notes followed by a couple brushes of the strings with my finger. That's an up, down, up. I think the main thing is, though, to feel pretty free with how you're playing it, as long as you switch to that bouncy tempo. we go from this to this. So hopefully you can feel that difference. The last time we go through that C, there's a little bit of a walk down before we go into home where my thoughts are escaping. So we have something to call out is on the second verse, there is a nice little walk up that he does from the G to the C. So he goes, and every stranger's face I see reminds me that I long to be homeward bound, and I wish I was homeward bound. So that little walk. In the tab, you'll see that the first half of the measure is the same, and then we go to a C. So that's from a G to an A minor, to a B, to a C. It's a great little touch to add to the song if you're comfortable with it. We then go into the chorus, which has a line that repeats a few times. We have this. Home, where my thoughts are escaping, home, where my music's playing, home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. And so to do that, we're going to play a G chord, and we're going to hit our bass note, and then strum the top strings, and then hit our bass note again. Home, home. And then we're going to do a series of double stops, very similar to what we had done in the intro. And first we play the B and the G. Where am I? Home, where am I? And then our hammer on with no pull off. Thoughts are escaping, thoughts are escaping, home, where my thoughts are escaping, home, where my music's playing, home, where my love lies waiting. And then we go into what is very close to a D, but all we're doing is the second fret of the G string. And we play silently for me. And we go back to our G. Silently for me. And you'll remember that part. Tonight I'll sing my songs again. I'll play the game. There's a lot going on here, so one thing that does help is to recognize that the guitar is synced quite well with the melody. So if I play through that slowly. Home, where my thoughts are escaping, home, where my music's playing, home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. So if you're having a hard time learning that, slow it down to that pace, or even slower if you need to, and then you'll be able to speed it up and play it up to tempo.